Thank you for being here today. We are practicing one of my new favorite breath strategies. It's only something that we can do when we're not driving. So this is a fun one if you're, just passing time, being quiet and finding your breath during the day. You can have a few moments with both hands free. Also, we're moving into boundary setting meditation, which is one we have done probably this time last year because it is my personal belief that sometimes we need to set boundaries during the holidays when we might have a lot of guests or family members coming in to visit. So I like to have this one around the holiday season if you celebrate. In that case, you may want to have a piece of scrap paper with you. It's not necessary, but sometimes it's nice to have it with meditation, a journal or something, so that if your mind is really active and you're like, I cannot forget to do that later, it's an important thought. I can't just push it away like I always recommend. Just jot it down. And that way you don't have to worry about forgetting it and you can really settle into the meditation today. Thank you for being here. My name is Tiffany. I'm so happy that you've joined us today. I do leave my quote unquote desk and I come back to the floor. This is my favorite place to practice meditation. I don't even have any particular setup. I just took 3 today, couch cushions, just because I'm trying to be away from the floor since it is getting chilly. So I'm going to keep my feet on a big cushion and then sit down on the top too. Now, another wonderful reason for being on the floor is so that we can awaken and open our hips. Getting out of our 90-degree knees in a desk chair is really helpful. Crossing the shins or the ankles will help us open our hips. And if you're boosted high enough that your hips are above your knees, that will also encourage front body opening for bigger breaths, more awakening. Our breath is pretty amazing. It's with us constantly, so it's not even a tool we have to buy or seek. We have it with us every day, and it has profound healing effects. So today we'll practice some breath work as well. Comfort is, in my opinion, the most important part of the practice. So take as much time as you need. We're going to move just a little bit. And then if you get uncomfortable as we move through the meditation, try not to fight that. Just come back to a little bit of movement and resituate yourself comfortably. To begin, let's move just a little bit of body circles. So think of your navel drawing a circle around all the way back. And then once you've made it to the front again, we'll switch that direction. So our ribs are moving, our low back is opening, our belly is opening here, and then we'll switch direction. And you're welcome to let your elbows get bendy, take your eye gaze down so your neck also has some wonderful opening. We'll just try one more each way. We want to find a really soft spine. We're hoping to build it up long so we can sit tall, but we don't want to feel rigid or stiff. So in this way, we're moving some fluidity into our spines. Now you're always welcome to take more of these movements. When you're ready to move to the next one, 2 of 3 movements today, we're shoulder circling backwards. You might like to reach down low so it's a bit more long and easy to roll. If you're so tight in your shoulders, perhaps just move one at a time. And if they sound really crunchy or they feel a little stiff, just pause where you're noticing that tightness. Maybe work, oh, I found a good one there. Work a little back and forth on whatever shoulder is bothering you. And then take another big roll, set shoulders up, then back and down. See the bottom of your shoulder blades like a little V pulling together towards your spine. Keep your arms long, but rest your hands somewhere comfortably. Palms down for grounding, for centering, for calming. Palms up to bring in energy. And they can be anywhere. There's no set way to bring your hands to rest. Lastly, we'll move a little through our necks. Be intuitive with this. If you feel like you need something in particular, take it. I'm doing a little tick-tock of ears side to side. And some homework for you during your day, all day, every day. Whenever you think of it, we're going to try to come into a beautiful neck alignment, which I'll teach you in a moment. As you make your way back to center, look straight over right shoulder. Pause here, but soften your jaw and do a little down and up, like a yes in slow motion. Maybe you're touching down towards your right collarbone. Through the center when you're ready, back to the left, last bit here, and then we'll settle. Shrug shoulders down. While you're holding your eyes left, a slow motion no. Oh, I meant to say yes, excuse me. A slow motion yes is better. Bringing some positivity in here. Okay, now as you come back to the center, I'm just going to show you from the side. Think about where your chin is. Sometimes I even notice it when I'm driving, we kind of jut chin forward, opening throat but compressing the back of neck. So we're going to tuck our chins in. Feel how that helps you grow really long through your spine. And if you were to touch the bottom of your chin, it's about parallel to the floor. Now for practice, we can keep it here, then eyes would be straight forward and we can soften our eyes to closed. I prefer a little tuck. So I'm going to tuck my chin. I think this really helps me lift and open the back of my neck and feel a little bit of a lift, like we could sprout wings from the backs of our shoulder blades. Closing eyes here is wonderful, as is softening your eyelids, which is what I do. I like to still have a little vision. So I'll make slits in my eyes. And then as you look through lashes, things appear unfocused and blurry. So it's not a big distractor. Do whatever's comfy for you to minimize what's going on in the external environment. And invite yourself this morning to drop into our practice together. Welcome. Let's start with a big inhalation through our noses. And if you're stuffy, you're welcome to breathe any way it's comfy. But if possible, in through our noses. And on the first exhalation, open mouth sigh. It can have some noise to it. I like about 3 of those. Let's try again. Open mouth sigh. Personal preference here, however, many feels good. The thinking is that we're clearing the old, stale, stagnant air from maybe even still our night or our morning, setting aside everything that has brought us up to this point in today. And then the most natural type of breath for you, perhaps in and out through your noses, settling in to the here and now, tuning deeply into your breath, noticing without judgment where it's traveling, how far it travels, how it affects your physical body and the shape that you're holding as you breathe. Remember that you are worthy of setting time aside for yourself. You are meant to be here and now. You are enough just as you are, and you are exactly where you are supposed to be. Are you able to smooth out your breath? Sometimes when we encounter tension, whether it be physical, mental, or emotional, we get a little hitch in our breath. Without criticism, without attaching a story or a plot, just noticing that and trying to smooth the edges. Explore where your breath originates and where it ends. What is the first bit of sensation or movement we feel on an in-breath? And what is the last we notice on the out-breath? Now, to begin our breath practice for today, this is the one I was mentioning in the beginning that we'll use our hands for. If this is something that you're not interested in, just continue breathing. you can skip the hand movements altogether. But I really love this one. If you're really ticklish, it might not be for you. So if you'd like to look at me, you can, but I'll definitely guide you well enough with my voice. We're going to bring the palm of our right hands, you'll be mirroring me if you're watching me, just up somewhere that's lifted off your body. It can be high or low, somewhere that's comfortable for your left index finger to start to trace over each finger. So I'll think about it going from the outer edge of finger over the tip and down the inner edge. Now, as we do that, we're breathing with each side of our fingers. So, for example, we'll breathe up and inhale on one side of the finger. And as we make it over the tip, we breathe out. The exhale comes down the other side of the finger, and we move on to the next finger. Our tracing lasts as long as our breath does. So everyone's rhythm will be unique to your own comfort level today. Let's begin. We're going to start with the right hand. Use your index finger of your left hand and start right at the outer base of your thumb. You're near your wrist here. And for the duration of your inhalation, trace up that thumb. Over the tip as you start to exhale, draw it down the inner edge of your thumb. And you might be on the inside over the pads, that's okay. Inhale over the outside of your right index finger. During the exhale, head right back down the inside of that finger. Up the middle finger. And down, same finger. Inhale up the ring finger. Exhale down. Up the inside of that pinky. And exhale all the way down to the base of your wrist. Back the way you came, up the outside of your pinky. Slow now, exhale. So length of our breath is how the finger is tracing. Inhale up the ring. Exhale down. Inhale up the middle. Slow release. Fill up on the inhale. Out as you travel down. Inner thumb inhale. Outer thumb all the way down to the wrist. Releasing both hands. Anywhere that feels good. We're going to take a break from that and we'll do the other hand in a moment. Don't worry, you won't get cheated here because I love how that feels. I am ticklish, but I like a little bit of tickle. You know, that feels like really good. So I'll do the same hand twice, but then we'll always move to the other hand just in a few moments here. Well done. That's a fun little strategy. I like to do that even if I forget to breathe. Like if I were watching TV or I'm just taking a moment to breathe or to rest, I might breathe like that. And it's okay if you forget the breath. It's just so calming to do that. Touch is very stimulating, but it can also be a source of comfort. I hope you enjoyed. Okay, so we're moving into our boundary setting portion of the meditation. Think without too much of an answer. Have there been times in your life where you feel like your boundaries weren't being met? Maybe it was by yourself. Maybe you didn't trust your gut, didn't pay attention to boundaries that you feel are important in your life. Or perhaps it was by others. And if you have experienced this, as humans, I feel that we probably all have, right? As much as we might not like to admit that, it's okay. We all forget to stand our ground sometimes. But what emotions arise? And don't get too jumbled up in this. I don't want you to feel upset or conflicted, but just kind of noting or labeling what emotions arise as a result of when you noticed or you felt that your boundaries were being crossed. Just observe and recognize if perhaps you felt overwhelmed or overstretched. Breathe in and sigh out. Give yourself compassion coming in and to the furthest corners of your body. Whenever you sense that you're having an emotional response, whether it be positive or negative, I invite you to stop and explore that. Emotions are part of our human intelligence. It informs us what's working really well and what is not going so well in our lives. But I believe that our emotions are our best guide to knowing when we need to establish a healthy boundary. So if an emotional moment arises, perhaps we pause and ask ourselves, what is this emotion that I'm experiencing in the moment? What is it telling me? And do I want more or less of it in my life? And if you got your scrap paper or you have a journal as you meditate nearby, sometimes it's nice to work these things out because we might have triggers during the holidays when certain folks or even just the stress of doing so much and having so much excitement around us. There's so many reasons that this can be a trying time. So sometimes writing that down can really help us organize it, understand it, and perhaps even cleanse it away. Now, let's say we're having a super powerful certain emotion for us that feels powerful. I can't tell you what yours are, but it could be something like anger, all of its variations that come along with anger. Maybe it's pain or fear. The universal message that we're being sent is that our needs are not being satisfied. So if you've ever felt one or more of those powerful emotions arise, in that moment, or even now as you're reconstructing it in your mind, you could write those down. And you could write down the context that brought those up. And then the next step in our process would be to think, to envision, or to write down, firmly planning this. What boundaries do we need to be setting? Or do we need to continue setting? You may even envision what your boundaries are going to be placed upon. So just as an example, this could be the opposite of something that you're thinking, but I just want to get your creative juices flowing. For example, let's say, your family is going to come into town for like 6 days. Maybe they're traveling far and that's what's best for them, or the travel schedule just happened to work that way. But you're like, I know I can only handle mentally or emotionally like 3 days. So perhaps now we're setting this boundary in our mind, and what we are actually envisioning could be something like fencing around our home with our loved ones retreating back to where we would like them to go. So I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it's our first step in setting these boundaries, in creating the safe space and working up the confidence and the courage to vocalize this boundary. I would love to have you, but unfortunately I can only have you for 3 days, not 6. So that's just a personal example that I'm giving. You'd have to devise your own strategy on how you'd construct these visual boundaries. And what I would like to tell you, to reiterate, because I know you already know this, is that boundaries are not selfish. In fact, they're super empowering. So I'd like to offer you a way of looking at setting boundaries as a gift that you can give to someone else to help them reconnect with their own autonomy, their own confidence, their own competence, bringing themselves a new sense, or perhaps rebuilding or building up even further their self-confidence. Now, when we create boundaries or reestablish them, it does not mean that we stop helping others when they're in need. But it asks us, or it teaches us, to deploy our skills in discerning what is the best choice for me in this moment. And if we tell ourselves, and we really firmly believe that boundary setting is a form of self-care, and I know that is so trendy these days. Everyone's talking about self-care, but it's true. We begin, once we have this firmly rooted belief, we begin to take steps towards identifying boundaries that we want to create that benefits everyone involved. A nice mantra that may be applicable to helping you, or perhaps we want to think of it as an affirmation, something that we would repeat to ourselves until we repeat it or breathe it or see it or believe it into fruition. Our mantra is say no so others can grow. Say no so others can grow. That could be something we could jot down if it feels right for us. Say no so others can grow. Just think about it for a minute. What does that mean to you? And I have the perfect example because, to be quite honest with you, when I first heard that, I was like, what does that even mean? It doesn't make any sense to me, because for me, when I say no, truly, I think about protecting myself. Like, I'm not going to do that. That's not my thing. That's not a good way to spend my time, right? So I think, oh, saying no means I'm protecting myself. But let me explain to you how this is not a selfish thing to do. Say no so others can grow. Okay, even if you don't have a kid, but you know about how moms and dads, loved ones who are raising children, teach their children to tie their shoes. Every day you teach this child how to do it with all your cute little tricks and rhymes. I remember mine had something to do with a bunny that I was teaching my kids popping out of the hole. But anyway, so you teach them and you watch them try it on their own, and they're showing progress and excitement as their fingers start to get the hang of it. They're kind of getting it, but the hard part is when they get frustrated or they're too tired and they don't want to do it on their own. And you have to say to them, nope, I'm not going to do it for you anymore because I know you can do it yourself. So it hurts you to hear their protests and see perhaps them in tears, but you stand your ground and envision how it feels, that sense of pride, that sense of, oh, we did it, when they come back in the room and they want to show you how they were able to tie their shoes all by themselves. So you could feel their joy, you can feel your pride. I don't know if that is something that really resonates with you, but just think of that example when you explore setting your healthy boundaries. When you say no, you're creating space for someone else to figure out something for themselves because you believe in them. And they're capable of doing what you're asking. Might sound easier said than done. But that's why we have that affirmation to remind us. Say no so others can grow. Helps us support our efforts in establishing and clarifying and expressing and reinforcing a healthy boundary. Love that one. Remember that when you set boundaries, we're doing so from a place of love and compassion. And when you honor your own boundaries, rather than sweep them aside and think, oh, just this once, when you honor your boundaries, you are also honoring your authentic self. You know it's what you really want. So we have to honor ourselves by sticking to it. And then when we do say no and take care of ourselves, we're giving ourselves the strength to take care of others. So again, we're helping ourselves and helping others at the same time. So I hope that, especially during the holidays, but of course all year round, a little boundary setting is in place so that you really feel like you're enjoying them as you had envisioned, as you had hoped and dreamed. When you're ready, if you'd like to do the hands, we're dropping back into breath. But this time it'll be the left hand. It's just risen someplace from its perch so that it's accessible to our right index finger. And sure, you could do any finger. Let's just flip-flop it this time. So we'll use our right hand at the bottom outside edge of our wrist, and we're going to go up the pinky finger to start. As you inhale, travel up, down the inner edge, up the ring, down the inner edge, up the middle, exhale down, up the index, all the way down to the base of the thumb, up the inside as you breathe in, and down as you breathe out, all the way to your wrist, and rewind, up outer thumb, inhale, down, exhale, inhale, up, index, down the center, up the middle, exhale, down, inhale, exhale, breathe in, and breathe out all the way down to the base of your hand. This time, as you finish, hands cover heart. You can form a prayer at heart center if that feels better. Take time in your day to focus on your breath. Take time to fix your alignment, as we did in the beginning of practice. It only takes a moment to do so. And take time to get clear on your boundaries. Know what they are. Say no without guilt or fear. Set boundaries from a place of love and respect. I hope you enjoy, and good luck. Thank you for being here today. My light honors you. Namaste, friends. See you next Wednesday.